The life of the Ramirez family in Oakland, California, was the portrait of the American dream built with hard work and dedication. Miguel, 42 years old, started his workdays before dawn at the auto repair shop, where he had earned customers' trust with his skilled hands. Laura, his 40-year-old wife, balanced exhausting shifts as a nurse at Highland Hospital with dedicated care for their home and 3 children. In their modest 2-story house in a middle-class neighborhood, they had built a home where each member's dreams found space to flourish. Emma, the 16-year-old firstborn, demonstrated remarkable talent for academics and dreamed of a spot at a prestigious university. Sophia, the youngest at only 8 years old, filled the house with laughter and colorful drawings that occupied the refrigerator door. But it was Daniel, the 12-year-old middle child, who had transformed the small upstairs bedroom into a sanctuary dedicated to the Golden State Warriors. The blue and yellow walls disappeared under carefully collected posters, with special prominence for his greatest idol, Stephen Curry. Every penny saved from Miguel's salary that didn't go to bills or the family's basic needs eventually became tickets to games at Chase Center. These were rare and precious occasions when father and son shared moments that were worth every financial sacrifice. "One day I'm going to meet Curry, Dad. Just wait," Daniel would say, while imitating his idol's shooting movements in the small space between the bed and the desk. It was on a Thursday in autumn that fate decided to test the Ramirez family's resilience. The old wiring, a problem Miguel had planned to fix next month for years, finally gave way under decades of use. The short circuit began silently in the garage while the family slept, first consuming boxes of stored memories and spreading with relentless veracity through the first floor. Laura woke up first, a mother's instinct alerted by the almost imperceptible smell of smoke. In seconds, the controlled panic of a nurse trained for emergencies took over. She woke Miguel with a firm shake and ran to the children's rooms. "Fire! Get out now! Don't stop to grab anything!" she shouted, while pulling Sophia from bed and pushing Emma toward the hallway. Miguel found Daniel paralyzed, looking at his collection, hands extended as if he could save something. "Son, let's go. None of this matters," he roared, dragging his reluctant child. In less than 3 minutes, all 5 Ramirez family members were on the front lawn, barefoot, trembling in the cold dawn air, watching helplessly as the flames methodically devoured each room, each memory, each object that defined who they were. The howl of approaching fire truck sirens seemed too distant to offer any real consolation. In the red-orange glare of the fire, Laura embraced her children, while Miguel, on his knees, muttered prayers in Spanish. Everything they had built in 2 decades of life in the United States was turning to ashes before their eyes. The fundraising campaign began the next day. Neighbors, hospital colleagues, fellow mechanics, the community mobilized with donations of clothes, utensils, and offers of temporary shelter. The family found refuge in Miguel's brother's cramped apartment in Fruitvale. It was reporter Vanessa Chen from the East Bay Times who gave national visibility to the Ramirez family's tragedy. Her sensitive article captured not just the material loss, but the family's unbreakable spirit. The photo of Daniel wearing a white t-shirt with the number 30 drawn in pen quickly spread across social networks, carrying with it the hashtag that would change everything. Curry, meet Daniel. It was an ordinary morning at the Golden State Warriors administrative office when Raymond Parker, the team's community relations director, went through his morning routine of reviewing social media. Among the usual mentions and comments about the last game, one Hashtag stood out with growing volume. Does Curry meet Daniel? Intrigued, Parker clicked on the link that redirected him to the East Bay Times article. As he read about the Ramirez family and observed the photo of Daniel with his improvised shirt, something deeply touched the veteran executive. After 2 decades working with community initiatives, he recognized a genuine opportunity to make a difference. "This is exactly the kind of connection we value," Parker commented during the team meeting that afternoon, projecting the article on the conference room screen. "A local family, a dedicated young fan, a real tragedy. We need to do something." The decision to contact the Ramirez family was unanimous, but what nobody expected was Stephen Curry's reaction when the case came to his attention. Between commercial commitments and training sessions, the basketball star requested a pause in his schedule to personally discuss the situation. "I don't just want to send a gift basket," Curry insisted, surprising even the most senior executives with his involvement. "I want to meet this family personally, understand their story, see how we can really help." While plans developed in the luxurious offices of Chase Center, the Ramirez family's reality remained harsh and challenging. In the small borrowed apartment in Fruitvale, space was so limited that air mattresses occupied every free inch of floor during the night. Miguel had returned to work at the auto shop, accepting overtime whenever possible. Laura rearranged her hospital shifts, balancing the need for income with time to emotionally support her children. Emma, taking on responsibilities beyond her age, helped with Sophia while trying to keep up with her studies. The youngest often woke during the night, screaming about fire and smoke. Daniel, though silently devastated by the loss of his collection, found comfort in religiously following every Warriors game on the small living room TV, meticulously noting Curry's statistics in a notebook donated by a schoolmate. 32 points, 7 assists, 5 rebounds, he would mumble while writing, as if documenting his idol's achievements could somehow rebuild a fragment of what he had lost. It was the following Thursday, during a particularly busy shift in the emergency room, that Laura's cell phone vibrated with an unknown number. She would normally ignore it, but something made her answer during her brief coffee break. "Mrs. Ramirez, this is Raymond Parker from the Golden State Warriors." Laura almost dropped her phone, initially thinking it was some kind of elaborate prank. "I know this may seem unexpected," continued the calm voice on the other end, "but we would like to invite your family to visit our training facility this Saturday. We have something special planned for you, especially for Daniel." As Parker explained the logistical details, Laura felt something she hadn't experienced since the fire: genuine hope. That night, gathering the family to share the news-produced reactions that warmed her exhausted heart, Daniel was momentarily paralyzed, as if processing information beyond his capacity, before exploding into frantic celebration around the apartment. Sophia laughed spontaneously for the first time in weeks. Emma maintained her facade of disinterested teenager, but Laura noticed the unmistakable glimmer of excitement in her eyes. Miguel, always the stoic pillar of the family, turned his face away to disguise the emotion threatening to overflow. "They're probably just going to give us some autographed items and maybe a photo," Laura warned, trying to manage expectations. "Don't get your hopes up too much." But that night, while everyone slept, Daniel remained awake, staring at the ceiling, imagining what the Warriors' training center would be like, and allowing himself, for the first time since the disaster, to dream again. Saturday dawned with an exceptionally clear sky over the Bay Area, as if even the weather was conspiring to make the day memorable. In the small kitchen of the Fruitvale apartment, tension and expectation were palpable as the Ramirez family prepared for the big meeting. "Daniel, Stop fidgeting with the collar." Emma adjusted the donated Warriors t-shirt her brother was wearing, a piece she had meticulously ironed the night before. "You're going to stretch it." Miguel had managed to borrow Hector's 2010 Dodge Charger, his friend from the auto shop, a significant improvement over the public transportation they had been using since their own car was damaged in the fire. Laura checked the addresses and instructions sent by Parker 3 times, anxious for nothing to go wrong. "Remember to be polite and grateful," Laura instructed as they got into the car. "This is already much more than we could have expected." The trip to San Francisco seemed endless, with Daniel asking, "Are we there yet?" every few minutes. When they finally spotted the imposing Warriors training complex, the reality of the situation hit the family like a wave. They were about to enter a world they normally only saw on television. Raymond Parker greeted them in the parking lot with warm smiles and VIP visitor badges that made Daniel's eyes widen. "Welcome! We're very happy you came." Parker firmly shook hands with each family member with sincere firmness. "Let's start with a small tour of the facilities." Daniel seemed to float as they walked through corridors decorated with historic moments of the franchise. His eyes absorbed every detail: the framed uniforms, balls from past championships, giant photos of team legends. Sophia, initially shy, began to relax and excitedly point to colorful objects and gleaming trophies. "And this," announced Parker after almost an hour of touring, stopping in front of a closed door, "is our main conference room, where we have a special surprise for you." The door opened silently, and Stephen Curry, wearing the official Warriors training uniform, was standing in the center of the room decorated with the team's blue and yellow colors. Time seemed to freeze. Daniel stood completely still, as if fearing that any movement might dissipate the vision before him. Miguel instinctively held his son's arm to keep him balanced. "You must be the Ramirez family." Curry advanced with a genuine smile, extending his hand first to Miguel. "It's a pleasure to finally meet you in person." Laura shook the star's hand with an expression of disbelief. Emma, who had maintained a posture of teenage indifference throughout the morning, suddenly seemed speechless. Sophia partially hid behind her mother, peering with curiosity. When it was Daniel's turn, Curry knelt down to be at the same level as the boy, whose eyes were welling with contained tears. "I heard you're a big fan," Curry said softly, "and that you lost your collection in the fire? That must have been really hard." Daniel swallowed hard, unable to produce any words. "Objects can be replaced," Curry continued, "but I understand the sentimental value they had for you." An assistant brought a large blue and yellow basket overflowing with official items: uniforms for the whole family, balls autographed by the entire team, credentials for future games, and exclusive collector's items. But what truly distinguished the meeting was the time. Curry wasn't rushed, didn't check his watch, didn't give signs that this was just another commitment in a packed schedule. For more than an hour, he talked with the family, not just about basketball, but about their lives. He listened attentively as Miguel explained the challenges with the insurance company, as Laura shared her concerns about the emotional impact on the children, as Emma timidly talked about her academic dreams. Daniel, gradually finding his voice, finally managed to ask questions about training and plays he had meticulously studied. "Before you go," Curry said at the end of the visit, after photos and conversations that flowed with surprising naturalness, "I have one more thing to share with you." He made a brief gesture to Parker, who approached with a simple white envelope. "I know nothing can replace the memories you lost." Curry handed the envelope to Miguel. "But I hope this helps create new ones." With slightly trembling hands, Miguel held the envelope as the entire family watched in expectant silence. Miguel opened the envelope with unsure fingers, almost fearful of discovering its contents. A small gasp escaped his lips when he revealed a check with an amount he had to read 3 times to believe. $350,000 from the Stephen and Aisha Curry Foundation. Accompanying it was a handwritten letter, which Miguel began to read in a trembling voice. Dear Miguel, Laura, Emma, Daniel, and Sophia, your story of courage and family unity during this adversity has deeply inspired us. This amount is to help rebuild your home and lives. Additionally, the ID Curry Foundation commits to fully covering the college costs of Emma, Daniel, and Sophia when the time comes. We believe in the power of education and want your dreams not to be limited by financial circumstances. With admiration, Stephen and Aisha Curry. Laura covered her face with her hands, unable to contain the tears she had repressed for weeks, tears no longer of despair, but of relief and gratitude. Emma, momentarily abandoning her impassive teenage facade, hugged her parents tightly. Sophia, sensing the emotion without fully comprehending its meaning, smiled, infected by the sudden joy. Daniel looked at Curry as if contemplating not just an athlete, but someone who had just rewritten their lives' script. We have no words, Miguel finally managed to say, his voice choked with emotion. You don't need to thank us, Curry responded with genuine simplicity. Our foundation exists exactly for moments like this. We believe in community, in caring for each other. Before they could fully assimilate the impact of that generosity, Curry added, I have a friend's construction company that will help rebuild your home. They've already been informed and will contact you next week to begin planning. The following months brought transformations that none of the Ramirez family could have imagined during that dawn when they watched their home being consumed by flames. With the financial support, they moved into a comfortable apartment while overseeing the reconstruction of their home. Miguel, freed from constant financial anxiety, invested in specialization courses in electric and hybrid vehicle mechanics, technologies that had fascinated him but always seemed inaccessible. Laura reduced her hours at the hospital, prioritizing the family's emotional well-being during recovery. Emma, with the guarantee of a college education, found new motivation in her studies, allowing herself to dream of universities she previously considered impossible. Sophia, with appropriate therapeutic help, gradually overcame her recurring nightmares, and Daniel, inspired by his idol's example, developed a new perspective on sports, not just as entertainment, but as a vehicle for deeper values of perseverance and generosity. The Ramirez family's new residence was completed 6 months later, larger, safer, with modern electrical systems and personalized spaces for each family member. At the modest inauguration party among friends and neighbors, the buzz of surprise when a black SUV parked on the sidewalk was indescribable. Curry and Aisha arrived discreetly, bringing an ornamental plant as a traditional new home gift, and spent hours chatting naturally with everyone present. A year after the fire, the Ramirez living room revealed a transformed family. New photographs adorned the walls, including one framed in a prominent position. The 5 Ramirez family members alongside Curry at the training center. Daniel, wearing his official Warriors uniform, observed the EE photo as the team played on the new television. Sometimes, the worst things that happen to us lead to the best people we meet, reflected Laura, affectionately running her fingers through her son's hair.